Okay, so we've got another culvert to move. We did a video a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, with the pins pulling a culvert out on some neighbor's property. And I thought today, just for fun, we would compare the pins to a couple other four-wheel drive vehicles that we have at the house. I've got the 94 Toyota Land Cruiser. I've got the girls' 2004 Jeep Wrangler. We have the Syncro, our 86 Syncro tin top. And then of course we have the Pinzgauer. So I figured we would just start out with the Land Cruiser, followed up with the Jeep Wrangler, then the Syncro, and if the culvert is still in the ground, if we haven't been able to pull it up by then, we would hook it up to the Pinzgauer and you know um, yank it out with the pins. Obviously, we know it'll do it because we've done it before. Now, out of these four vehicles, the Syncro is at a bit of a disadvantage because it does not have a transfer case. The rest of these vehicles have got gearing on their side. So let's start out with the Land Cruiser here and see how the Land Cruiser does. Now, the Land Cruiser is almost 4,800 pounds, 212 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, and I do have the center lock on it. It does not have locking differential. See how it does. And there's the rear finally engaging. We are spinning all four tires. Just doesn't really seem to be hunkering down and pulling hard. It does have just some regular, the tires aren't super aggressive on it. It's got some Bridgestone coolers on it, I believe. And didn't really budge it much there.
Did it even budge?
A little disappointing.
It did move.
And here you can see we were spinning all four tires, but just wasn't pulling that hard for a vehicle almost 5,000 pounds and over 200 horsepower. Now the Wrangler, weight-wise, is a disadvantage. It's about 1,000 pounds lighter than the Land Cruiser. 3743 is what the Wrangler weighs.
Really disappointing about
Probably my biggest disappointment with the Wrangler is just nowhere to tie off on it. But it's 190 foot-pound or 190 horsepower and 235 pound-feet of torque. Let's see how the Wrangler does here. Open diffs on this Wrangler. Just a sport model. And there we are. We're spinning the right rear and the left front. The open differentials on this thing, I got to get lockers on this. I've got it stuck a few times up in the hills, and it's just frustrating after driving the Syncro. One thing all of these vehicles have in common, for the most part, is they're all pretty much bone stock. I mean, the tires on this Wrangler are a little bit oversized, but all of these vehicles are bone stock. Now, going back to the Syncro, it's pretty much stock. We've got larger wheels and tires on it. The tires are older commercial TA BFGs. They're pretty worn out. It's due for tires. But you'll see here in a second, of all these vehicles, I honestly think the Syncro probably bit the hardest. It probably dug in the hardest. It's, like I say, at a disadvantage because it does not have a transfer case, but what it does have is almost a 50-50 split on weight distribution. And this thing was just really hard, and I almost ended up tearing the rear bumper off. I heard it a couple of times pop really hard, and when we're over, if you look close, the bumper's actually bent. Watch the tires too. Watch the front rear tires, how quickly that front four-wheel drive engages. I mean, it's almost just it comes on instantly, and that's just the stock bits just front coupling. It doesn't have a rear locker in it. Doesn't have the power and mainly the gearing to get this done. The Syncro is 4,700 pound, 95 horsepower, and 117 pound-feet of torque. So almost, out of all of them, it's basically the least power. I mean, the Pinzgauer is a little bit less powerful.
Budget at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, Syncro just couldn't get it done, and as you can see there, comment that the rear bumper is in fact kind of bent it down. Almost ripped it off. So the mighty Pinzgauer is a 1971 Pinzgauer, got an air-cooled inline four-cylinder in it. They are 89 horsepower. The thing weighs 4,300 pounds. And unlike Syncro, it does not have like a 50-50 split on the weight distribution front to rear. It's about 2/3 of the weight up front, 1/3 of the weight in the back. Ideally, if you were loaded up with either gear groups, that would put it at closer to a 50-50 split. 133 pound-feet of torque on this, and like I said, 89 horsepower. So just a little bit less than the Syncro, a few hundred pounds less weight-wise than the Syncro, but the advantage that the Pinzgauer has here over all these other vehicles is not only does it have a transfer case, it's geared extremely low and has gear reduction boxes, or portal axles as a lot of people call them. Gear reduction boxes on all 4 wheels, and so this thing is able to just gear down extremely low. And I'm in low range and first gear, which just it just gives it all kinds of grunt. So let's see how the Pin does. There you have it, guys. I gave the Pins a couple extra tries at it, a couple extra shots, and got it done. This was for entertainment purposes only. I'm not trying to say one vehicle is better than another. They obviously all have their place, and it was just interesting. But I appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you later.
Did you see the roots that were holding it down?